up, lay it down just like Matt Amari. Wrestling liver RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party. Moolah Ric Flair, showing out like Bianca Belair, Best podcast, flush it in the air, Roman Reigns and we win it, don't care, No cap. Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt Amari. Wrestling liver RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPup podcast. I'm your host, Mari Forth. And with me today, my co-host, my stablemate, the Midian and Viscera to my pallbearer, Mr. Matt Scott and Stan Steve.
Hey.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, which one? Wait. Oh,
Which
wait.
one do you want to be? Who wants to get naked?
I want to be Big This. The world's largest love machine.
Yeah, you can be Big Fist.
Earlier.
Thank you. We'll take it. Yes, Stan C is here in the building. The one and only Stan C, the thriller from Manila, the voice of the wrestling people, the Wrestling RHAPup's #1 Stan, and Mr. C. I should be calling you Mr. C to show some respect. Thank you, Stan, for joining us. An icon.
No, thank you for
always.
having me. Oh my gosh, I feel like such a champion once again with that intro. And you guys caught me at a great week, great time, because WrestleMania is finally over. Not that I didn't enjoy it, I really did, but the anxiety from just preparing to call WrestleMania in Tagalog for the Filipino audience of the WWE Network, it was so overwhelming. And man, just to be a part of it, the words dream come true, those are an understatement.
Yeah, what an icon.
I can only imagine. Yes. So you got to call your first WrestleMania, Stan. Like, you went into a little bit, but please, like, what? Just all of it. Explain it, all of it. Almost like it's your own WWE 24. Tell us like everything about
like
that.
It's a Steve Austin podcast. Was it a work or a shoot?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you this, brother. So I actually did a TikTok right before WrestleMania Saturday began, and I showed everybody my notes. I had like 36 pages of notes sprawled out on my bed because I wanted to keep track of all the storylines, all the buzzwords that I had to keep in mind for everybody. And I made sure to really take note of certain things that I wanted to bring into the storytelling and then try to localize it in Tagalog. So there was that part of the preparation. But when I sat there for sound check, you have to keep in mind the Philippines is 12 hours ahead of East Coast time. So when they ask you to check in at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, that's 3:30 a.m. Manila time. So my ass is up at like 3:15, 3:20, just, getting all my devices turned on, getting my LAN cable set up. And the first day we had some audio issues that took us about an hour to get through. So I was like, man, I should be, catching up on sleep here. But, these are things out of your control. And lucky me, I was also dealing with a very bad case of severe gastrointestinal distress. So I was working WrestleMania with a migraine and a fever and all that. And I'm like, this could not have come at a worse time. But I will say this. As soon as the signature played and the pyro and the ballyhoo came on, it's like all of that magically disappeared. Like I was just like, I'm going to live in the moment. It's freaking WrestleMania. And I was just taking it in, drinking it in. So there were the highest of highs, like Cody Rhodes coming out. That was a pure, genuine reaction on my part. We just went nuts on commentary. So when we got to those highs, it really just made all of the anxiety just wash away completely. And then I did it all over again the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you know what? One thing I would say, Stan, because I'm a fan of yours. I'm a fan of On Deck with Stan C, the Wrestling podcast, like all that stuff. And, okay, look, I know, so just a spoiler, letting the people know, like when you listen to On Deck with Stan C, for instance, Stan's mostly speaking in English. There's like some code switching a little bit to Tagalog. I don't think I could keep up with your commentary on WrestleMania, or else I think me and Mari would probably be tuning in if we could understand it all. But like, I'm sure that just like the amount of work that you've put into your career in radio and podcasting and everything is like paying off now. And so it's good to see you succeeding and just remembering the little people like us, you know?
No. I've got to put you guys over as well, because I know, Mari, you've been spreading yourself around the RHAP network, getting into all these other podcasts, PSR as well. And Matt, props to you. I was listening to the Survivor Academy episode right before we went on. And that was a lot of fun to get through. So shout out to Rob for putting Pod Friends over on that pod as well, because that Wendell episode, which you guys referenced on Survivor Academy, was really insightful to listen to as well.
Yeah. And it's like, look, we're all just like glowing up a little bit. And one day we're going to look back at the podcasts, the first podcast that we did last year, which I think was August, which is insane to think, because, you know, you were tuning in from pretty much the beginning, Stan. And so, you know, one day we'll look back and I think we'll look at Rob and say, just thank you, Rob, for the opportunity to give us the space, and also for the opportunity to welcome Stan C into the building, because Rob is a big fan of yours too. So thanks a lot.
Big
Stan.
fan of yours, Stan.
Yes.
Thanks for the rub, brother.
Okay, so I can't wait. We will get into, like, it's been a week since WrestleMania. Like, how is it sitting? How is it feeling? We'll get into all of that. But before we can do that, let's get into some news. Some good, some bad. Lots bad. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about, I've been wanting to talk about this for like a week and a half now, since Jade brought it up. I think I talked about it on Twitter, but Jade Cargill on AEW doing the baddie section. Oh my gosh. So if you don't know, I want to say it was about like 2 weeks ago. I think it was before we went on with Low, with the wrestling wind down that week. Jade Cargill was on Twitter like, you know what? Because she's a heel right now. So her main gimmick is calling everybody in the audience like slobs and pigs. And she's like, I need some baddies. She's like, if AEW come to town, drop your pictures right here. I'll hook you up with some seats. And like when she first said it on Twitter, I was like, okay. You know, I was excited. But this past week, I think these last 2 episodes, they actually, you know, it came to fruition. So Jade Cargill what she's doing is she's saying, like, where are my bad women at? She's using her heel character to not only, you know, get over as a heel and put over a majority of the of the audience, but she's actually making a different demographic than AEW's target demographic, women. Specifically, I saw a lot of Black women, women of color, who are really excited, like myself. Like we know I've been in and out of AEW, and there's just some stuff in that company I said just isn't for me. A good majority of it isn't for me, but Jade making this space in this area, I was like, oh my god, when do they come back to DC? Like, I want to be hooked up. I want to be in the baddie section. I want to be like on the TV. I don't want to be on the TV, but I want to be in the baddie section supporting.
No, we want you there week in and week out.
So like, I just want to give like mad props to Jade, and like, you know, I'm pretty sure if she came up with the character, I think this is genius. It's complete genius, getting over as a heel because everybody else is still pissed, but also extending a hand to a demographic that your company is currently like not even like underestimating, you know? Yes, and that's
what?
That was from
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, yeah. I laughed at this picture because this picture, one of the Seahawk, shout out to Seahawk on Twitter, he got into WrestleMania with all these beautiful women, and they all got to take pictures with Wale and Jade and all that, and they had a great time. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't realize how many Black women and women of color like really do love and enjoy wrestling, and that, you know, to feel like we're being singled out, and it's really a awesome feeling. Any thoughts on this?
You know what? I just want to throw in, like, I love Jade Cargill so much. Like, she's one of the people that I'm most definitely, I mean, easily in the top 10, only because like top 5, like I'm like, maybe she's in the top 6, but she also might be in the top 3 of people I'm excited about in wrestling. And it's like, I love a good streak. I love a good losing streak or a winning streak, because it shows that they're going somewhere with what they're doing and all. But just, she's so unique and strong and looks like a star. She's constantly improving. They're very committed to her. She's making her own thing really with this baddie section, but also she's not afraid to be on Twitter mixing it up with people.
Yes.
And sometimes, like yesterday, I think I saw a tweet from her that was just so positive and something like, I don't know if it was like something like, I hope everyone's like doing well and taking care of themselves or something like that. But it's like, you know, the fact that she's willing to be all of these things, like a mom, which is like one of the parts that is so inspirational to me, and to be like strong, but also sexy and athletic and all of these other things. Like, you can have it all. And if you have it all, your name is Jade Cargill.
And you can flaunt it.
Put that on a shirt. Yeah, you can flaunt it. And I love her so much. And I just want to say, I love her theme song. Like, I've been listening to that on Spotify once. I'm like, ooh, Jade. Ooh, so good.
Yeah, that's a bombastic theme. I love what she's doing with the whole baddie section of it all, just because it's still a heel thing to do, to try to put it out there. Like, if you're a 10 like I am, come at me, come to the show. I'll hook you up with tickets. If you're anything lower than a 10, you don't belong in the baddie section. That's still a great subtle heel work, because for someone like you, Mari, you're able to see how it serves the bigger meta narrative of inclusion, which is great. Right? In any form of media, in any form of any platform, but to also have that storyline heel work where if you're not good looking, you don't deserve to be part of the section. It's an exclusive club, pal.
Yeah, it's like heel 101 while also with a streak of
without having to over sexualize anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, you could all have all sorts of baddies, and that's the thing. It plays to different audiences, to your point, Stan, and to what you've said. And I think that like one of the biggest opportunities that anybody has, like in a space like, we've talked, Mari and I have talked about AEW and just how we've wanted more and more diversity and representation there. And they're hopefully working on it. They're working on it. And, Jade kind of taking advantage of that opportunity and saying, okay, let me make it my space to like really make room for these people. And this representation is really cool, especially knowing like the lack of writers, or at least in a traditional sense, lack of writers in that company. It just makes it that much more impressive. And honestly, like, look, they better lock her down to like a 10-year contract in AEW, because I'm just saying she might be other places.
Exactly. And I also have to commend her promo here when she was in, I think it was when she was in Boston with the baddie section. Not only is she like, where my baddies at? Yes, put a picture on, get a camera on them. I was like, yes. And then my only complaint was like, let's get some more sectioning, because y'all are too close to the baddies. Get from around the baddies. The baddies need a whole section to themselves. But also, her next opponent, I think, is Marina Shafir. And she was just like, she said in this promo, which I nearly like levitated from my body. She's like, I'm sick of all of these MMA girls, wannabe MMA girls coming into my sport thinking they can run. You a has-been. So she said something to that effect to Marina Shafir. And I was like, ooh, people catching strays over here. I loved
Leave
it.
her alone.
I loved every second of it. It's great. It's great. And then she just got low enough without like saying Marina's not going to be in the baddie section, without being like too mean. Yeah, it was a pretty good promo. And her and Smart Mark passing the mic back and forward. I do really love that dynamic, because I love a good manager.
Yeah.
But I also love when they can talk for themselves. The last time she took the mic from him, she was talking, she's like, step back, and he was like,
yeah, I love that dynamic. And I feel like a few months ago too, I don't know what it was, if there was even like a question of if they would split or if she'd get rid of him. I remember thinking about it. I don't know if it came up at all, but like, look, he does great work supporting her and kind of playing.
Yeah.
But also like a really unique dynamic, I would say. Like, I can't, especially to have like a Black woman, strong, powerful, sexy, strong, powerful Black woman who is like leading the way and like, fall in line, Smart Mark, get behind me. And you are like serving my interests. It's kind of, I don't know, it's like kind of empowering in a way.
Yeah,
a lot of not just serving her interests, she employs him.
Yeah.
Exactly. She
Yes.
signs his checks, and
Yeah, it's this
he better
Paul
not
Heyman
forget
run
that.
almost to me
Yeah.
in comparison, like Paul Heyman with Roman versus Paul Heyman with early Brock, you know?
Mm,
Um, yeah, I love
I
it.
like that.
I love the whole gimmick. So shout out to her. I just wanted to shout her out at the top because we're gonna be, like we said, mostly focusing on WrestleMania and WWE this week. So next up, some unfortunate news. So MSK had to give up their championships mostly because only because um Nash Carter was released due to allegations of abuse from his wife, wrestler Kimberly, also known as Abby Lath, when she was
Oh.
wrestling in WWE. And some photos that were about Nazi photos, basically. So this has been like an ongoing thing all week for a whole week and a half now. Like, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what you've been doing, because it all started last week before Stand and Deliver, right? Actually, I think it was before the NXT Go Home show into Stand and Deliver.
Right.
Kimberly had said that, she tweeted out about abuse that she received at the hands of her husband, who we at least I did. Most of us found out at that time was actually Nash Carter. We did not know that they were married, and so going into that, we were like, okay, well, what does this do for MSK's chances of winning at Stand and Deliver? It seemed like everything was okay that night. Nothing was brought up on NXT that night. And then, going into that weekend at Stand and Deliver, they won the title. So they beat the Creed brothers and Imperium to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. And so we were like, oh, okay. That was the storyline kind of going in. We weren't truly. I don't think I was truly shocked that MSK won those titles. I think it was a build up. They were talking about their 5-month journey back to the titles. So it kind of
Yeah.
made sense. And so again, if you're following, we also got some more tweets from Kimberly saying that they had reconciled, and then it just all came kind of crashing down when finally we got some more pictures from Kimberly saying that she has been abused. She sent pictures of her face. I think her lip was busted or something. And then, like we said, she also released a picture of what looked like Nash Carter with like a Hitler style mustache and doing like a Nazi salute. So since when that came out, Nash was released. Now they announced that on this next NXT, they're going to crown new NXT tag champions. I don't know how they're going to do that, especially after what happened on SmackDown. So we'll get into talking about the tag teams themselves and all of that, but just letting everybody know that, MSK, it's no more. So very sad news, but
Yeah.
it is what
Yeah.
it is.
It is what it is. And I think just other general thoughts on this, one is, I think at the end of the day, I think it's so easy to kind of, especially when we're people who all watch wrestling, we're used
Yeah.
to faces and heels rather than these shades of gray and,
Oh.
of not
Mhm.
knowing things. And it's their relationship. I know that none of us wish that we were in their relationship. I'm glad that they're kind of sorting through things. And I know that we wish both of them and everyone involved all the best in this situation. And, we've said it before, how we always stand with survivors. But I think even more in the, on top of that, in the case of wrestling, we just want the best for these people, because
Exactly.
clearly it's not a great situation for anyone involved.
Mhm.
Again, it's also a lot of it's not our, we don't
Not
know.
our
There's so
business.
much that we
Yeah.
don't know, right? And so I think we are, we're not, I say this as someone who has a background or has done a lot of work when it comes to sexual assault and domestic violence too. I think sometimes it's just best to let the situation breathe and realize that our opinions don't matter when it comes
True.
to their lives and what they're doing. But I'm hoping that everyone is, doing well, or at least on the path to doing well in
To
the
healing, yeah.
situation. Yeah, for
Great
everyone
point,
again.
Matt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I can't really comment on the situation given my affiliations, but Matt, you said it best. What's ultimately important is their personal lives, their own healing, and I'm just gonna echo what Mari said when you brought up how unfortunate this situation is, the timing of it all. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah,
and I'll also say, like, this, I think, these are what we said is what we said, and we believe it, but also, like, just recognizing that we have a platform too. I think I don't know how other podcasts and others are talking about the situation, but I think there's a way that you do that and the way that you don't do that. And sometimes the best thing to do is to, like, again, let it breathe and kind of like give respect to their privacy. And yes, I get that Twitter was involved, but like sometimes that happens. And,
exactly.
It is what it is.
Truly that. Like, there's no reason to be bashing any person on either side in social media, tagging them, threatening them.
Definitely not.
Don't do that. Like, it's I know people say, well, they brought it to the public, they wanted the public to know, but it still doesn't mean, that doesn't give you license to be a dick to people. Like, it truly doesn't. So this is something that clearly they are trying to handle. I hope that they handle it in a way that is helpful for all of them, and they're all in a healing place. They don't need increasing negativity piled on either one of them, to be honest. And like Matt said, like, honestly, if we'll see if anything comes from it, but if not, I'm truly okay with never knowing how this is resolved, which I don't know if that's great or not, but I'm just really hoping everybody is in a safe environment, like everybody's in a safe, stable environment. That, I think that's the main thing, no matter what. Okay. So we will like I said, we'll talk about what this might mean for the NXT tag teams in the future, because man. But if you want to reach us, you can send an email to wrestling@RHAPhasawebsite.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at WrestlingRHAPup. Join the conversation by using #WrestlingRHAPup. Thank you for everybody who comments, tags, uses everything.
Force of will.
Yes, love Force of
Shout
will.
out using hashtag.
I mean, if I don't see anything, I love it when I'm like, okay, what happened? Because
I need to start reaching out to Will.
So I'm like, Will, what's going on? Yeah.
What's up?
What's up? Exactly right. I think he's our source now.
Yeah. We love
you can
it.
also find us in the Job Has a Squadcast Facebook group. Let us know if you want to join. And hopefully you're already subscribed to our podcast feed, right?
That's what matters. If you're not subscribed, like literally, if you're not subscribed, please stop and subscribe. That's what matters. Yes. We need to look. Let's be real here. If you're not subscribed, right? Like literally, do it right now.
Pause
do it.
Do it.
And then you can be in our baddie section.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. We need to start our own baddie section. Yes. RHAPhasawebsite.com.
Get the cameras on them. RHAPhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed.
I'm done.
I broke Mari for a second.
You can also find us on YouTube. Rob has a podcast YouTube page. Just search Wrestling RHAPup, because hopefully you're looking at our beautiful faces right now, or go look now. You like get the camera on us now.
That'd be so awkward, like just smiling at the camera.
You get the camera on them, all three of them.
Okay, that's enough plugs. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the highlights of the week. All right, so every week we bring you the highlights of the week on what's going on in wrestling. So this week, of course, like I said, we will be focusing on the aftermath of the most stupendous WrestleMania ever, and also NXT Stand and Deliver. All of the highlights that we're talking about can be found in a very handy highlights playlist that is either in our show notes or description.
That's right.
I'm done.
Wait, you know what though? Like literally, just I just want to echo what you said. There are show notes wherever you are listening to or watching this podcast, which have the playlist, everything else. Like, just check those out. They've been there. They're
awesome.
Yeah.
Matt's saying that because he spends so much time on them, and if
they're underrated.
I
had someone ask. They're like, "What? You have a playlist of clips?" I'm like, I don't think you listen to the podcast.
Hey, I appreciate the effort because that's way more effort than I put into my show notes. So props to you.
Yes, Matt puts a lot of effort into the show notes. So please go
hours
appreciate
and hours and hours.
Matt's show notes, please.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania. Our thoughts, hopefully. You listened to our live reaction podcast. We brought you a live reaction podcast after WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday, also known as night 1 and night 2. But again, we worked very hard. We stayed up till like 2 a.m. Brought you those. We did. And so if you want our raw, genuine reactions, those really go listen to that, because that's, that'll be like what we were feeling, and they're really good. I love doing those type of shows. We got a interesting question too on stereo as well. We did on WrestleMania Sunday. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember laughing my ass off.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah. So definitely go check that out. So we're just going to briefly mention like our favorites again here, because we're not going to talk about it again, because there's 2 whole hour podcasts talking about it.
And 2 whole nights. How are we supposed to go through 2 whole nights in this podcast? That could be 5 hours. No, we're not.
We're not doing it. So we're going to start by asking Stan, what was your favorite moment of either each night, the weekend, whatever? What are your favorite moments?
Yeah, sure. Before I get into that, I got to share a quick story about the whole stupendous branding of WrestleMania 38. So, being part of the Filipino announce team does require us to translate as much as we can into Tagalog, right? Which is like the language that we use. And people were like, hey, how do you translate stupendous in Tagalog? And I got that question, I think, as early as Elimination Chamber in February.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, how the hell are we going to translate this very specific word? Because the thing with code switching and translating is you don't always get a perfect translation, just because certain languages have their own nuances where, all the layers that explain one word doesn't necessarily cross over into a different language, right? And my broadcast partner, Carlo Pamintuan, and I, we were toying around with words. We had this little group chat where we're just piling on the whatever Filipino translation we can find. And we tried, like, I think as the main event of Elimination Chamber happened, we were already promoting WrestleMania. And then after that, we were like, screw it. Let's just say stupendous WrestleMania anyway, because we do juggle between Tagalog and English on commentary anyway. So we're like, screw it. We're going to stick with stupendous.
Stan, that does not surprise me, because even when I heard the word stupendous, I was like, who picked this word? What is this? Like...
Yeah, I don't hate the word. It's a fun word to say. Stupendous. Stupendous. It's fun.
Or it could have been like stupefying,
Oh God,
that'd be a little bit different.
Any word that starts with like stoop, I automatically go to stupid, which automatically gives me a negative connotation.
I know, so Mari. Like, what about like a stoop? Like, if someone lives,
what about stoop kid? Like, he still doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, stoop kid. Exactly. Like, come on, Mari. Reframe how you look at it.
No,
you know, like a stoop.
Stupendous was it was a choice. It was a choice.
It was a choice.
Stupendous.
It was, and us not translating it into Tagalog was also a choice.
I think a great choice, in my humble opinion, as someone who does not listen to your commentary.
It's tough.
So does that mean you were kind of introducing the word to? Is that
no, not really, because the thing that most people don't realize about the Philippines is that we're a largely English-speaking people anyway. So, like, when you say the word stupendous, we recognize the word, but we don't know what it means 100%. So, like, on commentary, we would say something like, ito ang pinaka-stupendous na WrestleMania. So, like, this is the most stupendous WrestleMania. And then I'll probably throw a line in there and I'll say, pag di mo naintindihan yan, kahanga-hanga, yun. Which means, if you don't know what that means, it means stupendous.
I got that.
To describe the word, Stan.
So we're just flipping back and forth, and then I just throw those little jabs and one-liners in there just to make fun of the fact that code switching is really, really tricky. It's a tough act to pull off, right? So there. But to go back to your question, favorite moment, it's got to be the Cody Rhodes return. It's the Cody Rhodes return for me. I mean, I wasn't the biggest Cody Rhodes fan throughout his time in AEW, but just the mystique of it all, the will he or won't he appear, and even in the moment, I'll take you behind the scenes again. Because when we do commentary here, we have an iPad where we have a Zoom call, and my partner and I have each other pinned on the screen. And the seconds right before his theme song hit, we were looking at each other all, is this it? Is this it? Like literally in anticipation, because we didn't know either. We were as clueless as the rest of the world, right? So once Kingdom hits, my mind just exploded because it was like, wow, he actually brought the entire package over to WWE. And it was hard to just contain the excitement and remember to speak in Tagalog and remember that I'm actually working. So to put all of that into and channel it into actual work made it the favorite moment easily.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like we said on our recap podcast, it's like we heard the rumors, right? But it was different seeing it. Like the moment you see it, it's just like, wow, it's truly happening. You know what I'm saying? Like it's here.
And I had to stop myself from cussing.
Yeah,
because I am a potty mouth in real life, so to make sure that I didn't drop any F-bombs or whatever on a live mic. Jeez.
We're glad you didn't. And also, like, this is it. I think like the thing that's different is that we expected it and saw it the moment coming. And I know that we'll like talk about Cody's promo too. He had a promo on Raw, and but the thing is, WWE, and this applies to so much of the show, is that they are so one, there's just the epicness of WrestleMania and of WWE overall, but the production, like they're so great with each of the details. Like hearing what's the line that Cody starts with, wrestling doesn't only
more
have
than one royal family.
Wrestling is more than one royal family. And then we hear the music playing, and it's like, what? You're actually playing it? Oh my gosh. And then the whole entire damn package is like ripped from, it's just Cody.
You have the neck tattoo in the AR graphic. That blew my mind as well.
Yeah. And it's
Big
just like, they really gave this man all of this room to be himself in this situation. And I'm sure he took it too. He asked for it and probably fought for it, saying, this is what I need to be here and do this. And like, I'm sure that we'll talk more and more about Cody, but like I was over the moon in this moment, and I almost thought this would have been this was like tied for my match of the night of, and then I kind of gave it to Bianca and Becky just because of like the build and everything else, and just the delivery and the emotion. But damn, the emotion was there with Cody and Seth in there, and it was so impressive.
Yeah, we can talk about it now. Let's go. Yeah. So Cody comes out on Raw. He opens Raw. And one of the things that also kind of hit me again on Raw, he comes in, he stands in the ring, and just at the bottom of the graphic, Cody Rhodes, like seeing the full name again, not the implication, the full name again.
And did you notice, by the way, speaking of the graphic, that it was this American Nightmare? Like they had the special stylized American Nightmare graphic there. Like what? Do they do that for people?
They do. They do.
But that was like next level. Yeah. Just seeing it pop up randomly as he was looking at the crowd and all of that was really
nice. Was great. I mean, he was definitely overwhelmed, with the crowd. He gave, I will give him a slight knock here. Cody came out and he did. I mean, Cody did the promos that he was doing in AEW that even I was
Cody alone.
I'm happy Cody's back. I'm happy Cody's back. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring, especially since he was, like you said, he's able to bring the full package, which means I'm pretty sure he that has to mean he has some control in his creative, at least a little piece. I would think.
I mean, like let's think about it in an informal way. Like, of course
Yeah,
he does, in the
informal.
sense that and I'm not saying like creative control, like because I don't know anything about anyone's contracts, and I
Sure.
don't know if people have creative control in the way that they used to back in the
Mhm.
day. But like the fact that he's there, he's clearly trusted. Clearly, the powers that be are behind him. So and then there's also clearly a plan or a vision for him, or else he wouldn't
Yeah.
be there, or else he would stay home, or else
Yeah.
like we wouldn't have gotten him opening the show with the moment that he had. And so
Exactly.
I'm excited about everything that's coming up with Cody.
Exactly. So, but like I said, he was getting those. So I thought it was perfectly stated. Somebody on Twitter was like, Cody Rhodes was practicing WWE style promos on AEW every week, and I was like, when you say it like that, it makes so much sense
He
because
was practicing.
in that because it
Felt
did
like it.
it hit a little different when it was in a WWE ring.
Uh-huh.
It's okay for us to be hypocritical here because it's the same thing, you know. Nobody cared about Tony Nese, then he went to AEW. Everybody's like, oh, it's a great signing, you know. It's like when you're more again attached to something that you have a better connection with, you know, and we talked about if you haven't listened again, go listen to our night round reactions. But for me, how I stated it and how the reason why I can feel okay with like now rooting for Cody when I didn't root for him in AEW was because I think him stepping into WWE is a whole different it's a different dynamic now. From him coming to AEW, like when he's in AEW, you know, we saw him as the executive VP. We saw him as like, you know, he was people were making fun of him for for constantly winning that TNT title, you know what I'm saying? And like he was seen as the boss then. He was seen as the person taking up too much time because he could, you know, but the moment he comes back and steps into WWE, you know he doesn't have that type of power anymore. He kind of automatically gets get to for me, for my mindset is like, okay, now he's an underdog almost because now he has to prove he can make it in WWE because now he has all of these haters either within WWE, not the company itself, but like the
Right.
fans, or like he has those AEW fans who are mad at him for leaving. So now he has to like prove something. So he automatically, to me, is as a almost like an underdog dynamic now that he stepped back into this company, and that appeals to me more than what it was when he was in AEW. So that's what makes me sleep at night and feel like I'm not such a total hypocrite. But I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys.
No,
No,
What
no,
I'm
do
no.
just
you
I
stand?
totally
yeah.
get that. I
Yeah.
totally get that. I've got to give him props. I've got to acknowledge Cody Rhodes for one, really selling the proof of concept as something that works because
Yeah.
it's not every day that you have somebody crossing over from one company to another and taking the entire character with them to WWE, which has famously reshaped wrestlers, superstars in the company's mold, right? Like, you know, I don't know anything about Cody's contract details either. So I was listening to
Right.
every podcast I could find where he was giving interview after interview, and he was saying that the vision was that crossover appeal when you're watching something like an Avengers movie, right? In the MCU,
Right.
where there's Spider-Man,
Mm.
there's Black Panther, there's Iron Man. You know what I mean? And I think
Mhm.
they achieved that, which really tells me that the meta narrative from 2016, when Cody Rhodes left WWE, where he felt like he wasn't as big of a star as he thought he was, and he spent the next 6 years proving to the world that
Proving
he
it.
was that big star.
Yep.
And for him to make it back to WWE tells everybody that, hey, mission accomplished. Cody Rhodes is back. So for him to sell the entire character that he spent 6 years perfecting to WWE and getting it on WrestleMania, that's something definitely worth giving him credit for. So that's number one. Second, the promo, which Matt is showing us a photo of right now. That promo was so simple because it was taken straight out of the Paul Heyman school of mic work. And I'm going to reference an interview he gave Jim Ross in, I believe, 2016 on JR's podcast, where he said that the most basic and effective promos are ones in which the person speaking introduces himself or herself, is able to tell everybody what their affiliation is, like who they really are. Like, are they someone's advocate or manager? Are they a wrestler? Are they the champion or whatever? And finally, to state their purpose. What are they here for? What's their mission? What are they going to do to get it? Cody ticked all three boxes, and that's what made the promo effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just to add to this, I think, Mari, you mentioned something just a little bit earlier that was, that resonated with me, which is just that, that you could feel him working to prove himself, and
Mhm.
and I would say that that's a shoot, like in a
Yeah.
sense where it's great because in kayfabe he's working to prove himself, but there's this very real thing where if Cody Rhodes flops in WWE, that harms his brand, that harms his potential to achieve a lot of what he wants to achieve in his career. And for me, just to add to all the brilliant things that you said, I actually got choked up I got choked up a few times this weekend as like there was the Shad moment with Shad and his son, and like Mari and I were talking about that on the wrestling podcast of just like, oh my God, so emotional. But like to see him talking about his dad as someone who like lost their dad too, like, oh my God, I was like, oh my God, I feel this emotion. It feels real. And, Stan, I know that, that we've kind of talked a little bit about how, about charisma and the idea of charisma. And a point that I've heard and kind of started to like gravitate to and see is how, vulnerability is a form of charisma. And he was just going out there being vulnerable and getting choked up and talking about Dusty and this real story. And,
Yeah, that picture, man.
and that picture, the picture from Madison Square Garden, September 26th, 1977, Dusty holding the championship. Like, I would love for this to go to a place where it's just such a poetic storyline where Cody is, where there are echoes of Dusty's story and where he's really able to honor that legacy. So yeah, I'm like so excited for what is going on with
Yeah.
Cody. It's a good way to kind of pick up as we take off toward the next WrestleMania. Could we say that we're on
WrestleMania
the road?
Backlash.
Well, no, we're on the road to WrestleMania 39 already.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah. And so great promo, like a great promo.
Yes.
I'm just saying, it was a 20-minute promo. Okay.
It was a lot of there was a lot of I got a little nervous when he refused to start talking
Right.
for like 5 minutes, but it was okay.
Seth
It
came
was.
out to like just kind of like acknowledge him a little bit, do a little dance, and then leave.
Well, also it's like we didn't, you see Seth come out, and so often when people come out, like there's gonna be a fight.
Yeah, or at
You
least a
get
talking
that.
to.
A little talking to, a little tussle,
Mhm.
a little ballywag.
Oh, a little tussle. Yeah, but we didn't get that. It was just kind of an acknowledgement. That's how they put it over on commentary. Like, oh, Seth is coming out to acknowledge Cody Rhodes. Yeah, that is actually a really good picture.
He gave him a little bit of a rub too, or like
Yeah,
the rub
definitely.
in, as the people say, with that one. And so like if you didn't know Cody for whatever reason before this, you're seeing Seth go in and shake his hands. You're like, okay, this Cody guy, he has
Exactly, and
something going for him.
like Seth loses nothing from that loss too. I
No.
mean, like truly. And so it's amazing that like that happened. And if they're moving on, I hope they're moving on, so a few things. So Cody he redid that hearing the gif of him, like, the camera zooming up to his ear, but now this time
Which
it's
we
like
won't
a
show because
WWE
we don't want to
version.
get a copyright
Yeah,
strike. But thank you,
exactly.
Eddie, for sending that to me or to
It
us,
was
because
really
like that's
cool.
how I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. But also, they announced that he will be facing the Miz next week on Raw. So, um, if we get Cody Rhodes versus the Miz on like talking, that is just gonna be. I can already hear what the Miz is gonna say already. Like it's in my head already. Because if one thing's for sure, Miz is gonna go there and he's gonna say something in order to make you want to hit him in the mouth. So that could be a very fun promo.
We love it.
I'm pretty sure there'll be lots of pot shots taken across the bow at AEW. So get ready if that's what you like. So, but I'm very excited about them like feuding.
Yeah.
If it becomes a feud, I don't know if it's going to become a feud because they announced it later. But I'm definitely intrigued by Cody versus Miz.
I mean, if Logan Paul shows up.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So, one thing that what
No. Well, what I will just say that was not a knock on Logan Paul as a performer. Maybe we will talk about him. Probably, maybe not.
Do you want to?
No, I don't want to talk
Floor
about
is
him now,
yours.
Mark.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I was
I
about
have
to
no
say.
interest.
You know,
He's good.
I said my favorite match of WrestleMania. It still stands. I think. Yeah, it still stands from the whole weekend. My favorite match was Bianca versus Becky, and just for so many reasons, for the story, for the build up, for the match itself. Oh my gosh, that match. I truly love just watching them wrestle each other, like full on wrestle each other is just really amazing. And you can say that with Becky and other people and Bianca with other people, but the two of them together, I just love when Becky does all of her counters. Like, dang, that lady can wrestle. She's just so good. And the storyline, it all just made sense. And then Bianca taking that boot directly to the eye. I was so scared for her. You know, I hope she's healing up well. They haven't said anything about
Seems
it.
like it.
Yeah, they haven't said anything about it being like too serious. They just keep referring to it as just like a black eye. So, because immediately I'm just like, everybody has weak orbital bones around here because I got flashes of Naomi, I got flashes of Becky when Nia hit her. I was like please, somebody's orbital socket, please stay.
I've got a question for you both.
Uh-oh.
So now we've seen the payoff, right, for Becky and Bianca. But let's throw it back to SummerSlam here. Did either of you really go up in arms over the 26-second squash?
We did.
Well, I was okay. I was like, you know what it was?
That
Because
was
I have
bad.
these. Look, I think it depends on what time of night / when we are covering things. Because like for some of WrestleMania, like there were some things that we talked about even this week where I was like, I don't know, like I don't feel hopeful. For that, I felt really hopeful. I said like, let's wait and see. It was just like there were so many excuses built in where it's like, okay, like in my wait, who was Bianca even supposed to face initially?
Sasha. And then that didn't
Sasha,
happen. And then Carmella came out.
and then
Becky
Carmella,
replaced
right?
her.
Carmella came out, and then it was Becky. So then there's all that switching, and then Becky, goes in for the handshake, and it just caught her off guard. So I don't think it really made Bianca look that bad. And I think then between that SummerSlam and WrestleMania, they did a good job of referencing it so much that I don't even think it, like, the way they referenced it wasn't like it was embarrassing. It was kind of Becky using it to flex, and Bianca was like, yeah, that happened. And it kind of like diffused the situation for me. But Mari, I know that you were upset about the situation when it happened.
We are gonna have to listen back, and
I was not
listen back
upset.
and
I
report
was
back
not that upset.
because I think we were both. I think we were both upset, and we were both very confused. But we definitely said within the next few weeks, like we were like, it's how they follow up. It's completely how they follow up. And as it was going along, I think. Well,
it happened.
And dropping the championship.
I'm gonna turn off my
Becky
camera
Mania.
for a while.
That's bad luck. So I think we were all definitely confused and upset. But I think by that time, like the next week, because I think we did a reaction podcast for that. I want to say,
I think we did.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we were pissed that night, but I think by the next week, I think we were like, it just depends on how it goes.
We were,
and then we saw the trajectory. Yeah,
we love Becky too. So it's probably
we were very
hopeful, but we're glad that she's back. She looked so good too, especially the fact that she just had a baby. So yeah, I mean, but I didn't think, like, it didn't ever seem to me like they were burying Bianca in any way or trashing her in any way, and so
they were building her up.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was damning at all.
The only time that it got scary, so like they were building Bianca up the whole time. Like she won Survivor Series. We saw her win Survivor Series as Soul Survivor and all that. She she went to the back of the line. She the only time that it ever came to be in doubt was at the top of the year once the Rumble happened and then we knew, oh, Ronda's coming back, and then we're like, oh God, what are they gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like that was the only time where I thought like it could ever be threatened, because that's happened so many times before. I mean, if word is to be Yes, exactly. Plans change. If words were to be believed, Sasha was supposed to be versus Charlotte. So, and that changed. So we just didn't know when it came closer. But other than that, I think they handled this feud and the storyline perfectly for it to have
Yeah.
ended in WrestleMania, which is why it's like that's why it's the favorite. That's why it worked. And I'm so happy it paid off because it could have even, it could have even changed that night once Bianca got that boot to the eye, and then they're like, well, let's keep it on Becky. You never know. So now, the hindsight, it's all done. She got the belt.
It was
I,
satisfying.
it was
You know
very
what?
satisfying.
And
And then
I'm so
Mhm.
glad because like we didn't know how bad it was the night of. Bianca probably said, "Let me keep my eye open. Let me just hope it doesn't swell up. Let's hope that the ref doesn't get a change of plans in their ear, all that stuff." So look, was also beautiful. I also just want to give a big shout out, like we did on the recap, to the
Yes,
TSU band, who kind of
yes,
did brought in that HBCU, historically Black College or University, love
Mhm.
and energy to Bianca's entrance, and Bianca for being part of that and bringing that to life and bringing Blackness into WrestleMania where it belongs. So I
Exactly.
just wanted to mention that, especially as we kind of get more into where we go from here.
Yeah, that was just such an unapologetically Black moment that I loved every second of it. There was some backlash because Corey Graves decided that when it first started, he said, "What the hell is this?" I think that is what he said. And I'm just so glad that I was in that moment. Like,
Yeah.
I was just so excited to see, because as somebody who went to a HBCU, I knew exactly what was happening the moment I saw the drum majors come out and start it up. And it made me so excited just to see a piece of my culture like represented on the grandest stage in the biggest wrestling company of them all, and just like literal culture just right there on the stage. Authentic, true culture, not not overdone, not packaged. That was true, real cultural experience that was being brought to people who, just like Corey, probably didn't even realize it, but for those of
Yeah.
us who did realize it, it was such a big monumental moment.
Yeah.
If you're not sure about that, search social media Bianca band, because a lot of people who knew what was happening were really excited about that.
I'm
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
I'm just so happy for Bianca Belair. Like, she's a made woman. Like,
Yeah.
after back-to-back WrestleManias, having these big championship wins, big wins
Mhm.
over Sasha Banks, and then Becky Lynch. Like, there were jokes about her conquering the four horsewomen. Like, who's
Yeah.
next, Charlotte or
That's what I'm
Bailey, right?
saying.
But at this point, I'm just super satisfied because
Mhm.
I wasn't upset when the 26-second loss happened at SummerSlam. I was like, all right, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Mhm.
Let's put a little bit of faith here in this story, because Bianca Belair is the next one in line. Like, after the four horsewomen, she's the next project that WWE really put so much effort and investment in. And I think that we're only beginning to reap the rewards here.
Mhm.
So I think that that journey from August to April, an 8-month arc, executed the way that it was executed, chef's kiss. So happy for
So
Bianca.
much,
So
yeah.
happy for Becky, who is still my
Yeah.
favorite, even
Yes.
though she's such a baddie right now. Like, that Go Home Raw where she tried to cut Bianca's hair. I was like,
Woo!
this woman. Oh,
Like, let's get the scissors out of here. We don't need to
yeah.
play games like that.
I
But
can't
I'm happy.
believe
I'm so happy.
and you know what? Just a shout out to Becky for bringing figuring out what to do with her
with
look,
her
with
hair.
her
Yeah.
hair. There are a lot of
She looked great at
comparisons
WrestleMania.
to Haley Williams. I
Yes.
think that's her name, from Paramore.
From
Yep.
Paramore.
Comparison, I would say LaRue, I think her name is another. Just put in a Lindsay Lohan, throw in all the redheads. That's what we're getting, that energy. But no,
It looked great.
she looked amazing. She looked straight out of a sci-fi film, and this was an amazing. Well, the hair cutting incident was a great setup for this WrestleMania look. So
Yeah, I mean, and Lowe from Wrestling Wineout kind of called it. They were saying like, "Oh, what if Becky cuts Bianca hair again?" I said that would have been the biggest heel move ever, and it would have just completely wrecked people's minds.
No,
I'm
we
glad
would
it
have.
didn't happen, but I know it's
Yeah.
gonna happen one day, guys. I'm sorry to tell you, it is going to happen one day.
You are
No, it's
evil. You're
not.
evil for just
What you
putting
It's
that
talking-
energy
going
out
to
there.
happen
What you
one day.
talking
I
about,
don't want to
Mari?
put the energy out there, but it's going to happen. Like it,
No,
there's no way if there
no.
some heel is going to come out here and accomplish that job and release Bianca from that braid, and it'll be a sad day.
I
But
mean,
I think it'll be a Phoenix style rising from the ashes type
it
thing because
depends who
Bianca will
does it.
overcome it.
It
It
depends
truly
who
will
does it,
depend.
but like, it's
Yeah,
not gonna be Becky Lynch.
it's not going to be Becky. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and
the
that's what I'm
heat would
saying.
be nuclear for sure.
It might be Sasha Banks. It might be Naomi. It might,
Nah,
but it cannot
that would be the
be.
ultimate
It
betrayal.
cannot be Becky Lynch.
But that's the thing is, you say it like that, but I think it could be Becky. Like
No.
I think Becky could do it and harness the heat in a productive way.
The
It can't
optics
be a
are just a
Lacey
little
Evans.
off.
It can't
No,
be a
well,
Charlotte.
it definitely can't be her.
It can't be a Charlotte.
No. Well, no, definitely.
No.
Well, no, it definitely
If you
can't
want
either.
if you want to talk about optics, I think Becky would have been the
Sure.
only person that could have like gotten away with it in a sense that like I'd be
And
like, dang, I'm mad, but
you know what?
dang, Becky's good at being a bad guy.
And she
Any
could have
other
gotten
person, I'd
away
be
with it.
pissed.
You know, you are right though, in the sense that she could have gotten away with it at WrestleMania, even because she had her hair cut. So then she has that excuse. But like, just don't
Great
touch
point,
her
yeah.
hair. Don't touch Bianca's hair.
Right.
And I think you know, especially to have someone who's like not a black woman who cuts her hair, I think is just gonna alienate a lot of people.
And I think we learned so much about black women and hair, you know, dating
Yeah.
back to just the Oscars incident. Like I didn't know anything, any of the context. So
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
I've been reading up a bit, it makes so much sense now. All the layers you just added into it.
Yes, and
Again,
thank
like,
God
Bianca just-
WWE did it.
The good news though is that Bianca could just buy her
Go
braid
with it.
off WWE shop. Shop.wwe.com and just
Or, you know, she could
Depends
Will
on
Smith
the
the hell
right
out of
button.
Becky again.
I mean, there's actually, that's a whole other conversation too. But like, I don't know if it'll be too hard for her to get the braid back. But she would look. I feel like she would look, as we talk about this, she would look amazing with just like a nice little bob.
That's what
You
I'm
know?
saying. That, like, and also one day, like, also I don't know if people understand like how harsh that
Yeah.
is on her hair to like constantly have it up and pulled back like that as well.
Mhm.
So she will need to let it breathe one day. Like she truly will. As someone who knows black hair, it's very rough.
It doesn't define her though, which is the
Yeah,
cool thing about her hair, and it's such a huge part of her packaging. But it definitely does not define her, especially as she builds her legacy more and more.
Exactly. But yeah, so on Monday she just had like a promo, which was your typical babyface promo. I don't know, Becky wasn't there, so the crowd, the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, it's like a bizarro crowd.
Okay,
You know?
Mari, I just want to interrupt you here before you go down this rabbit hole, because the
That
way
crowd
I
was deep.
interpreted it was a little bit different. Like, I thought that I'm gonna give the crowd the benefit of the doubt
Oh,
here,
you nice.
which which is basically that like I thought maybe they thought, okay, wait, yeah, they were cheering for Becky a little bit too much. That's a whole other thing. That's a mess. But I thought that maybe they thought she was about to drop the championship, or that she would say like, because of my eye, I can't keep doing this. That's how I would like to interpret the situation.
They were booing, so
I didn't. Yeah, I thought it
didn't
was
like
like a booing, like, ooh, she's gonna lose. She's gonna let go of the. Especially as she started talking about her eye, I'm like, are you about to drop the championship right now?
I think a chant broke out too that was like a very I think like there was a "you deserve it" and then like a "no you don't" chant broke out, and I think some people might have been booing the chant, which then might because I've done that at wrestling shows before. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, "Boo, shut up!" like
It could have been worse. Is like
other
the thing.
people,
Like
but
there
I
were
don't
still
know. It was just
some
weird.
cheers in there, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird. And
I'm with Matt here. Yeah, it could have been worse.
But I would like to think that it was also just a confusing situation, because I mean, we talked about it too, Martin. We're like, is she going to be able to keep the championship? And she was wearing her glasses on Sunday when she took those beautiful pictures with Sasha and Naomi too. And so, look, she won't get that reaction other places, which is the good news. Also, it's Texas. Like, come on, people. We didn't have faith in you anyway.
Dang, Matt.
Damn.
Yeah, drag me.
Wow,
Come for
we're
me. I'm the Kevin Owens of the wrestling RHAPup. Let's go.
firing
Yeah,
shots.
dude.
Holy crap.
Stun me.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can see what you mean because it really just seemed like a promo where like not much happened. So it was kind of like, what is happening? So that makes sense. Speaking of another championship promo that really not much happened, Roman Reigns was on Raw again. Not much on there. Basically, I mean, all Roman has to do is come out and just, stand there for a minute and say, acknowledge me. And the crowd goes absolutely berserk because that's all you want to hear. But we didn't get much on Raw. It was basically, I'll tell you what happens on SmackDown. And then when we come to SmackDown, he comes out and introduces what I think is the worst idea ever because we know how I feel about unifying belts, talking about how now the Usos are going to go after the Raw belts, which I'm just like, why are we doing this? I don't want it. It's like, stop it. Stop with the belt unifications. I don't want it.
What do you guys think
your
about the
feelings?
acronym, the UWU Championship, right? Because it's the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Because I'm seeing all the anime fans come out of the woodwork saying that now this is pandering to the weebs and stuff. Like, you know how there's this. I'm gonna sound like an old person here, but like, you can create an emoji, the uwu emoji, UWU, which is like how people try to be all cutesy and stuff online. I don't know if you've seen this, but like, if you're a fan of anime culture. If you're a fan of anime culture, you'd be familiar with the UWU emoji.
I thought there was already like a wrestling promotion that had those initials. So
I don't even know if that exists, but like people online have been bringing that up, and it just tickles me because like, oh, okay, like if that's your first thought,
not
cool.
crazy. Ultimate Wrestling Unpackings is like a indie wrestling.
You are the first person to
know that
they exist. Oh my gosh.
Honestly, I know I knew it. So that'd be weird. But no, I don't like any of it. I hate it mostly because like, the only way we get storylines are based around titles. It's seemingly. So like when there's less titles, to me, that means there's going to be less well-written storylines. So that's why I'm a big fan of brand splits. I really like the brand splits. I like being able to like buy a ticket for SmackDown and know who I'm going to see on SmackDown, buy a ticket for Raw and know who I'm going to see on Raw, and not buy a ticket and hope that the people I want to see are there. Like that's happened to me so many times. So like I'm actually a fan of the brand split. I'm a fan of multiple championships. And if this is truly like going the way of like, this is priming us so that by next WrestleMania, we only have one title for everything, it's gonna suck. And I'm gonna have to power through it because I really hate it. I love brand splits.
I don't think that's gonna happen though.
There's no way.
I think that if the networks have a say, which I think they do, they're still gonna keep like championships on each brand on each show. If anything, I think it's only so the Usos have something to do. Like you have a storyline right here. RK Bro's gonna step up and say, "Not on my watch," blah blah blah. And I don't know. I just have faith in the fact that executives at Fox and the USA Network, we're getting meta here. But these executives will probably not allow just one show to have all the championships. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, definitely not allowing one show to have all of them. And just going to give a moment to this ooh emoji.
Told you. See, that's the ooh
I didn't know
emoji.
that's what it was called.
That is so funny.
And honestly, I don't know what I'm looking at here, but there's a lot going on.
That is hilarious.
This is like reminds me of an ink blot test a little bit.
Kind of like Rick and Morty-esque with the I love when their mouths do that on Rick and Morty. So that's
thanks, so that's
Matt. I know because I had no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, so that's what Roman announces, and I'm just like, I guess with the tag belts because again the tag division is pretty dead on both brands as of right now while they're trying to figure it out. So maybe Stan's right. Maybe like during this WrestleMania backlash, like this kind of like period where they're trying to figure stuff out, they can go for those belts. I would love people have been wanting it for a minute, but like a Money in the Bank, like a tag team Money in the Bank match would be pretty fire. I feel like we haven't had a really good tag team ladder match since like the last one I remember that was like that was really good was the New Day, like Lucha House Party one when like anyways, I'm
I was
pretty sure
like,
people know it was like 3 years ago. It was like the one where like Xavier Woods wasn't even in the match, but he threw the trombone at like at what's his name? Samurai Del Sol
Kalisto.
Kalisto's back at one point, like in the middle of the match. Okay, anyways, but like that would be so cool. Something like that would be cool. But yeah, hopefully it's just a stand-in. So not only did we get this announcement of the possible unification of the tag belts, but because of on WrestleMania Saturday, we talked about it on our reaction podcast, but it was supposed to open with Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs versus the Usos during a move where Rick Boogs was like lifting both the Usos. He tore his like quad muscle tore
His
from
quad tendon and his patella tendon.
Yeah, tore away from the bone, which again, it's so funny how when you watch wrestling, like there you see something like, oh my god, that had to hurt. I hope they're okay. But then it's the most like routinest move that I was like, I thought he was just selling. I didn't even realize he was hurt until the match ended abruptly and they carried him off. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so interesting how it's like the big moves that you think is like will take somebody out, and it's honestly the small ones, you know.
Yeah, and I'll even say I didn't even realize it until like later in the show they were giving the update on how he was doing. Like, oh, he's hurt. What?
Yeah,
and you know there was the moment, but like, damn that, and it sucks too because it did just look like a sell to me when we saw it, and even I think when they showed it back, I think they did an instant replay, and so you never know.
You just never know.
Yeah, that's a pretty gnarly injury.
Really sad.
So I've kind of seen the knee up close, like when the quad tendon's broken, because my dad tore his quad tendon just over the holidays, right before the new year. So it's the exact same injury that happened to Rick Boogs. So when that happened and Michael Cole announced that Boogs is going to be out, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be something to recover from for sure. Like the estimated timetable is between 6 months to 12 months, depending on probably on how good his surgery is, or the surgeon himself or herself or whatever. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one to come back from.
Yeah. I think I like strained my quads when I was doing track in high school, but it was nothing to that like effect. So I just, speedy recovery to Rick Boogs, but because he's out, Shinsuke does not have a partner. So Shinsuke came out to face Roman, and this was fire. Like Roman and his faux concern for Shinsuke, and he's just like, oh, let me give you some love. Let me give you some bloodline love. And he like
some Godfather stuff right there.
Right? It was a kiss of death, right?
Yeah.
Like he hugged Shinsuke. Just even Shinsuke's like, what are you doing? There's a great spot of him like saying, what are you doing? Roman steps back and the Usos just start attacking Shinsuke, and it was just so good. But I want to see Roman versus Shinsuke. They were talking about how this is what we were supposed, what we thought we were going to get at Royal Rumble last year when they had kind of hyped them up together. So Roman versus Shinsuke, yes.
Take my money.
Give it to me.
Take my money. Give it to me. Oh, yeah, no. It's and like it. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the cool thing about Shinsuke in particular. And it's funny because like I felt like there was some of this happening with Jeff Hardy where he was just starting to bubble up in like, dirt sheets, but they were talking about, oh, is Jeff gonna be Roman's next challenger right around the time that Jeff was released? And Jeff is someone who you could kind of elevate to that level. Shinsuke is also someone who you could just turn the switch on and he could be in the main event in that awesome place as a credible challenger, and he obviously adds to that as this incredible performer. And so look, I mean, I'm just glad we're getting it.
And a lot of people are like, oh, but he hasn't even been built up. What are you talking about? Like he was the Intercontinental champion for a while. Of course, he didn't get much screen time. I agree with that. But then he went directly into basically the tag team. Like they had the tag team belts and all that. So it's just like Shinsuke can always he was on TV every week, basically. Like Shinsuke was on TV every week. Was he defending his title every week? No. At every pay-per-view? No. Could he have defended it more? Yes. But him and Rick Boogs were on TV basically every week. So I'm so excited for this. I think it makes sense. WrestleMania Backlash is right there. Of course, he's not going to win. But, you know, I'm going to enjoy the ride. And I'm happy for that. I want to see that match. I really want to see what that match looks like because they were
it's going to be different.
That's what I'm saying. Like they were standing toe to toe. Like Roman's not going to. He can't work big guy against Shinsuke Nakamura, you know, and he can't work underdog like he did with Brock in a sense. Like, you know, that's why I like Roman's style. It's just he can really adapt to anything. We might see something to the effect of like when he was facing AJ, but he was kind of just like a good base while AJ flew around. So I don't know. We'll see. I lots of kicks. You know what I'm saying? Like
Lots of
I just want to see what, you know, maybe they just go full strong style.
Hey, if Shinsuke brings back New Japan Shinsuke for one night only, I would lose my mind.
Right. Like it'll be really interesting to see what this match looks like, or do we just get like Roman just beating him down for a good portion of it, and then Shinsuke might get a little bit off his end? I don't know, but I'm definitely excited to see it. And that was the one thing I was like, okay, great, finally we have a little bit more development in these championship pictures, because after that we also get.
Oh, no.
Oh wait, we do have a question right before we move on. I'm sorry. Yeah, Kristen asked, maybe just a clarification on my end, but it seems like the merging of the WWE and Universal Championship belts means that the second belt isn't going away, but instead they're just being held by the same person. If that's the case, how long until you think they will possibly break up the belts again? So yeah, so when we're talking about the championships, I agree. I don't think I feel a little bit better right now because I don't think they are merged right now. I just think Roman is holding both of them. I think it actually looks better. Roman said it. He's like, I'm holding two belts, but my cousins aren't holding two belts. Like, it's better for him to be holding as them being separate belts as opposed to merging into the one. It's kind of like the Kenny Omega of it all, in a sense. Like,
or the Becky Lynch.
Oh yeah,
Becky two belts.
Becky two belts.
I mean, Jeff Probst didn't say merge, guys. There's not going to be a merge happening. Someone's going to be smashing an hourglass and turn back time. So,
are you sure?
Yeah. You never, oh my god.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit more comfortable now. And like I said, I am doom and gloom because I'm like, this is me in a year. They're all gonna be together. But as of right now, you guys have talked me into it. I'm fine. I'm fine. We're chilling. How long do you think till they possibly break up the belts again? I think this is what I said on the reaction. Did I say this on the reaction podcast, Matt? But I think this actually gives Roman a way to like lose, but still also keep one belt.
I think you probably did say that as something to that effect. And that's the thing. Like, it's not like Roman can't eat a loss. It's just that he really needs to keep his championship and continue that long reign. So to me, it's more of a question of who's going to take the Universal Championship off of him.
Yeah.
Wait. Is it the Universal Championship? Which one's the one he had? I'm so confused.
So he's
had
the Universal.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one he's had for like over 500 something days. Yeah. So you think they're gonna let him keep that one for the longest?
I hope so that the reign can continue and the numbers could go up.
Okay, so y'all
he's approaching 600 days, so I'd like to see that go as far as he can.
Oh wow! I guess that makes sense because like this, how many times are you gonna get it at this point already? So you might as well just
And here's the thing: we didn't appreciate CM Punk when 434 days happened.
Exactly.
I don't remember that much other than he's been champion this long. Like I didn't get to appreciate that lengthy reign the way we're appreciating this Roman Reigns run. And no disrespect to CM Punk, but it's just so different right now.
Yeah, and it also it's funny that you referenced CM Punk there because I was going to reference Nikki Bella in all of this and her long, I think, record-breaking reign, and I believe that she broke if I'm not mistaken,
AJ.
AJ Lee's record.
Mhm.
So we're seeing kind of that pattern there. But
Mhm.
I think I would imagine that there's a point where they say, well, they've had the championship for so long, like let's do this for the history books. But also Roman is so good at what he does anyway. I think it's just an extra reason to not have him lose the championship.
And that's a name that you can feel comfortably sitting at the
1000%.
top of your history books, because
At the
Roman ain't
head
going
of your
nowhere.
table.
Great
We
point.
acknowledge him.
We definitely acknowledge him as the
Yeah.
undisputed tribal
The
chief.
Uwu champion. The Uwu face.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But yeah, so Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was stomping around SmackDown. I'm so mad. I lost.
Don't do that to Ronda.
That is what she looked like.
Ronda.
That is what she looked like.
Yeah, but she
All on
always looks
SmackDown,
like
dude.
that. Like, why are you gonna? You don't have to bring it up.
She was. She went to Adam Pearce. She's like, she wanted. I am on. I don't know what is in my tea this morning.
Wasn't ready for that.
She went to Adam Pearce, like she's demanding an I Quit match against Charlotte at WrestleMania Backlash, because if you guys remember, at WrestleMania there's a ref bump. The moment we saw Lil Nate, we should have known there was going to be a ref bump. Like the minute I saw him, I don't know why I didn't think, hey, there's going to be a ref bump. I just thought, oh, Lil Nate just taking over Charlotte's match. Oh, this should be interesting. No, Mari, you should have said there's going to be a ref bump, because there's a ref bump. Just enough time for Ronda to actually get the visual of making Charlotte tap. But then, of course, she gets up, and consoles the ref. Charlotte hits her with a big boot. 1, 2, 3. Charlotte retains at WrestleMania, continuing her WrestleMania streak.
Mm-hmm.
But now Ronda wants an I Quit match, and so she's asking for it or huffing and puffing about it. I made a tap. And then Charlotte is basically like, no, get to the back of the line. I still have the championship. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I still don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And I don't know if
it is.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Mari.
No.
You're on a roll. No, please keep going. I like when you're on when you're on one. We'll come back to you. Throwing over to us. I just want to say, like, Ronda, I'm not like you. Not the point of you not caring makes perfect sense, because every single word coming out of Ronda's mouth, and I get that like people need to sell the words that they're saying to us, but like, it's just, I'm listening to her give this promo. I'm like, none of it is real. Like, it doesn't feel real. Where's the realness in this? And, to contrast with Cody, it's like, there's a lot of stuff there that's like very real. That's like the blurring the lines between shoot and kayfabe. And you could say that about a lot of things, even with Bianca in different promos and things that she talks about, right? With Ronda, it's like, do you even believe what you're saying here?
Yeah.
And I just don't like, I don't know what, I think like to be good at being on the mic, you need to have that practice, and I get it, but she's a killing machine. Like, we just want to see her, eat, sleep, conquer, repeat. Like, that's what we want from Ronda. We don't necessarily want her on the mic being, punked out by Charlotte Flair, but we want her to fight, and so that's kind of like where I am.
And that's
just
what I was
like
about
Ronda's
to say.
not giving what needs to be gotten.
Yeah.
And
that's what it is. Like, I think she doesn't understand why she's on this mic talking. It's like, why am I begging for this match? Just give me this match. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, she's like, just give me this match. Like, why do we have to talk about this, in a sense? Like, I don't know. Stan, what did you think?
I don't know if you've ever discussed the idea of Ronda having a manager, because Matt, you said earlier that you just want to see Ronda be a killing machine, but in the world of WWE, you can't just keep breaking bones and smashing people, right? Like, you have to be able to tell a story. And with Brock Lesnar, we saw how effective his partnership with Paul Heyman was over the years. And it got me thinking, like, the more I saw Ronda's mic work, the more I thought that maybe she'd be more sympathetic if she had a manager actually saying these things for her. But on the flip side, how many baby faces are effective as baby faces when they have a mouthpiece? So there's the problem, right? Like you have this character that you're trying to push as a hero, but you can't have someone else speak for them because then it's not as vulnerable. It's not as personal. So there's the rub.
Great point.
I feel you on that. And like, yeah, Mari, what do you think about like that idea of Ronda having a manager?
I think we've brought it up before, but I think it's a great idea because she can't talk. I'm sorry, she can't talk. Nothing she says sounds authentic or real, or she stumbles over her words. It just she's not used to this style of promo giving. We talked about, I think, last week. She's just not used to this style. So I think she does need a manager. I mean, who could it be? There's no
because let's actually think through this, because in my mind, like, they will go there. Like, she will have a manager sooner rather than later.
And let's take Paul Heyman off the board, because you can put Paul Heyman with a wet mop and he could sell them.
Exactly.
But let's take Paul Heyman off the board.
Yeah.
So, I've got a pitch for you.
Go for it.
Call up Malcolm Bivens, bring the Diamond Mine to the main roster, make Ronda Rousey the poster girl of the Diamond Mine. Boom.
Oh my God. Don't make me root for Ronda by doing that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Malcolm Bivens is Paul Heyman in the making.
Malcolm Bivens could sell me a wet t-shirt and I'd buy it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh yes. And a wet t-shirt.
Wet, soaked, dripped. Like he really is that good at managing, and
he's excellent. I love the guy. So call up Diamond Mine, call up Malcolm Bivens, stick him with Ronda, give Ronda a bit of her edge back with Bivens there.
Don't do that, because I still like bagging on Ronda. So
yeah, you know what though? Like, I think like having a good manager. Paul Heyman is an obvious choice potentially to be with Ronda.
Paul Heyman off the board, man.
No, but Paul Heyman is like such a good choice. Like, I hear you, Mari. You want to keep Paul Heyman off the board, but he needs to be on the board. He's Paul.
You know why that's not going to happen? Because Ronda Rousey's not part of the bloodline, sir.
Thank you.
She could be. She could be blood.
Let's not.
How?
Let's not.
The Usos are married.
I just want good things for Ronda. Honestly, look, I think I would put Stan C in there, but that's a whole other conversation.
Let me give you one that's like kind of left field-ish. What if Natalya was her manager?
Ooh. Hey.
I mean they have that built-in story. I know, it's
Well, Shayna's tagging with Natty, and there's a Ronda Shayna connection. They could be a stable of people just breaking arms and breaking bones.
That is it.
I'm just upset that we're not already, like, we never got the moment of what's her the Four Horsewomen. We never got that.
We will
the
never
MMA versus WWE Four Horsewomen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. The MMA, but even just like the MMA Four Horsewomen, we never got that.
Yeah. We're not gonna get it. So
I mean, we can still get Ronda Shayna, right? Like, yeah, have. Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, that's
me from
have
3 years
Photoshop, or else I would put Ronda next to you. Hey, I'm just saying. Spoilers. Sorry, that was a spoiler, not a prediction. But no, I don't know. We'll they'll figure out. They'll do what they'll do with Ronda. Like, I'm not getting my hopes up that she'll get a manager soon, but I would hope.
And also, great point. Let's use Shayna more. Like, Shayna Baszler, so good, and
she's been there. She's been there, but she's also like, she's just been in a weird spot the last couple of months, really, especially ever since the Sonya stuff with Naomi died down.
Yeah,
and actually, ever since Ronda got there.
It was ever since Ronda got there. That's what it is. Because I think what it happened was because she had to train Ronda, so I think she had to just like devote her time to training Ronda. Yeah, I think because I thought she was a good fit in that Naomi Sonya storyline there, and then she just pieced out. But then if you think about it, Ronda then stepped in to help with that situation. So I don't know. I love Sonya. I love Sonya and Shayna. Both of them. Where's Sonya? Where's Sonya? That's where Sonya been.
That's a great question. I didn't miss her though. I mean, like, not until you brought her up.
I hear what you're saying. Well, yeah. Well, I kind of missed her.
Where'd they go? I missed her.
heart.
Yeah. Both
in
of
the
them.
manager, in not the manager role, but like in the authority figure role, I should say.
Yeah. So that's where all the championships are after WrestleMania. Let's see. Edmo did bring up like a super random. He said Corey Graves said that the money mixed tag couples match is with Montez and Bianca. What are our thoughts? So what I'm assuming is Corey Graves and Carmella versus Montez and Bianca.
I'm assuming Corey Graves was asked the question, Corey, you and Carmella in a match, who would you go up against? Because if I'm talking, I almost replied to Edmo's question immediately when I saw this. I was thinking the money couple match would not be Montez and Bianca versus Corey Graves and Carmella. It would be Montez and Bianca versus I don't know who else, but there are other couples.
Naomi and Jimmy. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Naomi and Jimmy. Let's go with that.
Or Seth and Becky.
Seth and Becky, right? But I hear him.
So many
it's
matches.
A great match.
Yeah, I mean that would be good for like because Bianca and Carmella always had really great chemistry. Yeah. So I don't know what Corey and Montez.
They have a lot of history, actually.
They have a lot of history. Yeah. Oh shoot. Oh, okay. There's a couple questions.
I was going to say, I feel like we had a lot.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of questions.
Thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions and just kind of like being part of this episode, especially before we go on our break for a few weeks, which I had to mention just to remind everybody, just in case. So, Mari, which question are you seeing?
So also, how long until Cody Rhodes is champion? Is he defeating Roman? Or are they making him a new title resembling his father's old WCW World Heavyweight Championship?
I don't think he's... Whoa, damn, that's a great question, actually. Like, is he defeating Roman or... Mari or Stan, what do you think?
It's got to be the WWE Championship, right? Because that's the title that Dusty Rhodes held in the photo.
Exactly, yeah. Right.
It's got to be that one.
With that lineage.
What if the idea is to split the Universal Championship from the WWE Championship, and Cody ends up defeating Roman? Like, that's a moment.
And that could be. I can't see Cody not being champion within the year. Like by this year, by next WrestleMania next year, I think he's either winning the championship or he hasn't. Like that's what my hope would be. So and it could be a good. That could be a good segue into a feud where he's like, he can be like, I want that belt. I want that belt in particular, like him.
Yeah, not the Universal Championship, just the WWE Championship.
Exactly. And it could be a way to split the titles, but also give the titles more meaning. Because if that would mean Roman would have to go on this for a little while. He'd have to hold the titles for a while. And then Cody comes and is like, you're not bringing meaning to that championship that my father held. I want to defeat you specifically for that championship. And that could be a title program in itself.
Yeah, it's a story in the making. It's Scion versus Scion, right? Anoa'i family versus Rhodes family, and then there's the whole Cody fulfilling his mission, and then there's whole will Roman maintain both belts? So yeah, that's a story in the making.
And then and Cody is good at switching out belts, so I would love for him to redesign something. I'd be cool with that as well. So
I would just throw in that. I feel like Cody's story, Cody is very much, as we even found in some of his AEW promos, big on like, I was going to say symmetry, but like symbolism. And like, there's something a little poetic about Cody and how not even just how he gives his promos, but just how he's like, I feel like about how he thinks, if I'm reading him the right way. All to say, there was that date from Dusty, September 26th, 1977, which is September 26th this year is a Monday. I'm just saying, if Cody has something to do with that championship on September 26th, that Monday, where I don't know if he wins it or if it's like a Dusty situation where he's like holding up the championship, but I feel like before we get him with the championship, we're gonna get the moment where he's like within arm's reach, literally, and then doesn't win it. So that's like my prediction there. I felt I was
calling
like,
your shot, like the 45th anniversary of that photo.
45th anniversary. Okay, I was not going to try to do that math, Stan, so thank you. But yeah, the 45th anniversary of that. I was like, 35 doesn't sound right. Thank you, Stan. So yeah, the 45th anniversary of that photo, I think there will be something with Cody. It is a Monday, and he is on Raw.
Yep. True. Very true. So let's just take a quick break, and we'll be back.
Ooh.
Okay, so let's just finish up the highlights of the week for the main roster. Then we'll just go into a little bit of NXT before we wrap it up. So some other very interesting storylines that I found kind of interesting from both Raw and SmackDown was MVP turned on Lashley, y'all. Did y'all see that? Wow. Lashley and Omos came face to face after, they wrestled at WrestleMania. Lashley overcame the Giant. It looks like, just your typical old, it's just a promo, or, maybe they'll face off at Backlash, and then MVP hits Lashley in the back of the head.
Rude.
Oh my God. And starts beating up on him.
Babyface Lashley doesn't need a manager. Remember what I said, right? About
he doesn't.
Managers only really serving heels. Then again, Bobby Lashley also kind of does need the help on the mic. He's not, on the level of a Seth Rollins or a Kevin Owens. Right. But I think Omos needs this rub from MVP for sure. Like, I think it's a great move, all things considered. I would have preferred Omos and Lashley to just form a new Hurt Business with MVP. That would have been badass. But, we're getting a longer feud, I guess, with, MVP being at the center of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really was not, as Mari knows from WrestleMania, and I'm sure I was just tired, but also I was not a fan of almost losing at WrestleMania, just to Lashley. And, I also was, and I have to admit, I know I'm never wrong, Mari, but I was wrong in the sense that I think that win over Omos did help Lashley a little bit, just to be like, I'm the dominator, like I'm taking over. But then this was the perfect way to follow that up. Like really getting Lashley over, as we know he's capable of doing it on his own as MVP, so beautifully put over. But then also, he's capable of standing on his own as a strong face. And so MVP is the perfect guy for Omos's package. And like, I am excited about where this is going. And I think it was a smart direction for them to head in, to like put these two together. And and I don't know, are we gonna get the MVP versus Lashley match here?
I can live without it. I don't mind if it's just Omos and Lashley mixing it up. I would want to see Omos dressed to the nines the way MVP decked the Hurt Business out like a couple years ago. They don't make
suits that big, Stan.
Oh, the Hurt Business, yes, you can.
You think you could fit him in? Well, okay, we'll see. We'll see what
he used to wear suits when he came out with AJ Styles.
No, he had that big trench coat.
His signature trench coat, which is like the least. You know how Pat McAfee at Mania bedazzled his little tank top. Like that's what Omos needs. Like just bedazzle his tank top and his little jacket, and we're good. But I'm excited for what this looks like.
Yeah, I thought this was great. I thought they took a match that nobody really cared about and instantly made me be like, oh my God, okay, Omos has MVP, great. Now Lashley has a foe to like overcome. I'm here for it. I really, truly did like this. And then, of course, we got the Naomi and Sasha. They're fighting champions. So, they came out on Raw I don't like championship contenders matches where you have to beat the champion. I'm on record for that. Like, I think that's so stupid to me, but whatever. It was Naomi and Sasha versus Liv and Rhea for a shot at the title. So it was not a title shot, it was for a shot at the titles. But Liv took the pin. Yes, what?
Keep going.
Liv took the pin, and then Rhea. There was lots of lingering. Rhea walked away disappointed. Liv sat in the the middle of the ring, like sad, like, no, what, wait, I'm sorry, because Rhea was disappointed that Liv lost it for them. And then so they lost the match. They
That's what
lost
I'm
the
saying.
contendership match, right?
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Then Rhea goes to talk to Adam Pearce, like, because Liv is like, Rhea, I'm sorry, what's going on? And Rhea's like, yeah, I'm upset, but I talked to Adam Pearce, and we will get a match next week for the titles. And Liv was like, oh my god, thank you, I'm so glad. I'm like, why did we even have this match then? Why did we even have this match?
But it's weird because, like, on
What's the point?
SmackDown, we did get Liv versus Sasha.
Yes.
And, before that match was even made, they had they were talking about it on commentary, like, okay, they get their shot on money. Like, if that match where, like, it could have been compelling if Liv was the one who, like, if Liv wins the match and then they get the shot.
And then they get the
that could even
shot.
make
Oh my
sense.
god, it's right
And then,
there.
she's carrying the weight, and who knows, like, if Rhea's gonna
was right
turn
there.
on Liv or whatever, but, like, it's right there. Like, I don't understand why I just don't really understand why they were guaranteed the match before.
You're so right. And especially since Liv pinned Sasha Banks, which ended her singles match, like, winning streak for, like, not being pinned. Like, yeah. So it's just like, oh, it was right there. You're right. Stan, how do you feel about the women's tag team division here?
I think it's Rhea Ripley's in a tricky spot where the main women's championship storylines are just occupied, right? Like, there's no space for Rhea Ripley to find a way into either the Raw or SmackDown women's championship seat. So she's anchoring the tag team division right now. I kind of wanted to see more from Rhea and Liv before they tease the split. And I think the way that the seeds were being planted this week, with Rhea walking out on Liv on Raw and then on SmackDown, them really making a point over how Rhea wasn't there for Liv at ringside, whereas Naomi was.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're telling us that Liv for Brutality is going to end on Monday, in which case, like, it would be such a short run. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if that's the case, which I agree, that's what they're telling us, then I need to know what's going to happen next, at least for one of them. Like, if you're breaking up, I'm not really compelled to care about a feud between the two of them, because it just doesn't make sense. They were made a tag team 3 weeks ago, and now they're breaking up. I want to know, like, you have to tell me that there's something better for Rhea, for her to break up this tag team. And it's either, like people are saying, I want her to join Edge over there with Damian Priest, or I want her turning heel, I guess, on Liv, so that then she can come for Bianca's championship. Because we don't know what's going on with Becky. Becky didn't wasn't there, like I said. She is teasing a very great. She did her interviews after she lost the belt. Very it's okay. It's okay. I'll get it back. Very kind of flighty, that disillusioned heel type of thing. So I think when Becky does come back, she will be the delusional heel. But I can see Rhea, being in a program with Bianca. The problem is do you want that directly as her first defense, or do you want to save Rhea and Bianca for a little bit later, when it's more possible that she could take the belt off of Bianca? So I don't know. I just need something. I need something. If they're gonna lose, if they're gonna break up, I need to be compelled by something, because I think also didn't Queen Zelina and Carmella also, I think, broke up this on Raw in this instance, right?
I mean,
Yes,
was it them or somebody else?
They did break up on Raw. Yeah,
they did have a they fought. They were like, they broke up, but, like, I could see a world where they get back together. Why not?
Either way, Carmella's leaving for her. Yeah, her honeymoon.
So who knows where that'll go? But
we will see.
And I'll also say, like, I hope that maybe I personally hope that this leads into a feud between Liv and Rhea, like, and maybe they've had this kind of dominatrix, or whatever the plural of dominatrix is, dominatrices, maybe, that they've had this thing going on. So maybe they have, like, a dog collar match, or like a bull, I don't know, something with a strap.
Oh,
Wow. Okay, we're going there.
all right.
All right.
We are here. This is
Well, no,
where
like
we're at.
you know, strap matches like the leather.
All
Uh-huh.
right.
I'm just saying it fits with their gimmicks. Like they could have an aggressive thing.
Okay.
Yes, that is the Rhea character. Yes, like
Yeah.
whenever she comes out on whatever premium live event we're calling, I always go, "Oh, are you ready for the big apak energy?" Apak means the step, like
Mhm.
her stepping on you and stuff. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a lot of fun with that.
Ah, that's funny.
See, like just feed into the gimmick is all I'm saying. But you know, like to keep them together but against each other would be cool. Cause like there's something there. And I mean, even if it's like there's so many different women's feuds I could reference for this. I don't know why. I went to like I've talked about this before. One thing I loved about Jazz back in the day in WWE is just how much she beat up Trish Stratus. And I think like sometimes just getting your ass kicked repeatedly, you get over, especially when you're like a young blonde woman, i.e. Trish Stratus. And so maybe that's what we're going to get with Liv. You know, she'll just get her ass kicked repeatedly by Rhea, and it'll build her up as more as a sympathetic babyface and kind of as a fighter. So I don't know. We'll see what we get, but
Yeah.
I
So
hope that they keep them together.
exactly. So we'll figure that out. But that's it for the highlights of the week for Raw and SmackDown. Again, all of the highlights can be found in a very handy playlist in our show notes and show description. So let's just move on to a real quick WWE NXT Stand and Deliver. So I know we all watched that. Were there any highlights for you guys for this pay-per-view? I personally thought like there are a few matches where I'm like, okay. And it was just a great, like, kind of like a warm-up for WrestleMania, but it was nothing spectacular for me. The ladder match was especially brutal. I really liked that. But then, my man Carmelo didn't win. So I was a little upset by that. And again, I saw the original North American ladder match in person, and it's really hard to top that. But I thought the guys did an amazing job trying to top that. Some more like highlights include Toxic Attraction lost on the kickoff show to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, and we can talk about later how that the fallout from that. But Stan, what did you like from Stand and Deliver?
The ladder match for sure. It's got to be the ladder match, just because I have a soft spot for Grayson Waller, representing the Survivor Wrestling crossover right there. So that's always a treat for me. And I was so shocked that Cameron Grimes actually won. Like, he was the last person who I thought would win, because I thought he was on his way to the main roster. I don't know if there were any rumors about him either staying on NXT or getting called up. But I love the whole moment where they reference the passing of his father, who was also a wrestler and a promoter, right? He was one of the OG founders of Omega, that North Carolina promotion that the Hardys put up with Shannon Moore back in the early 90s. So it was really nice of them to give Cameron Grimes that moment, because it was just heartwarming. It was something out of left field when I just thought that Grayson would win. I was willing to put money on Grayson for that one.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And that
took that bump.
That bump. Oh my God.
Which is
I hope he's okay. Is he okay?
I mean,
I think
oh my God. Seriously.
Honestly.
How's his arm? Like, and
I mean,
I
he's
really
booked
do
for
wanna
next
know.
week.
How's his arm doing?
Well,
because that just looked like a nasty landing on that.
Yeah, he was booked for next week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's see. But yeah, that's like exactly what Mari was saying earlier. Like, a lot of spots we see, like, are they dead? And others, it's just a routine, like things where they actually get hurt. So but I don't understand how you're not like, I mean, I'm sure he's a little bit sore at least, but damn, that was a rough landing.
It truly was.
Landing on a ladder. I don't know which is better, landing on a ladder on the floor or half landing on both, which is kind of what he did.
Yeah. Any your favorite highlights, Matt? Are they different from the ladder match? Are we all just in the same boat here?
No, for me, I actually I really liked that. I was kind of like caught off guard by everything with Cameron Grimes there. I will also say, I I don't know. I kind of feel like how you did about the show, Mari. Like it was a good setup for WrestleMania weekend. I really liked Dolph winning here. Like that was satisfying for me, as opposed to Braun winning back the championship. And again, it's
Well,
kind of like what you're saying with Toxic Attraction. Sometimes these wins don't stick. It's kind of crazy to me, actually, how
they walked them both back.
how much has like changed just a few days later. But wow, yeah, I liked seeing Dolph win. I would like to think that it was like him wearing his little trunks as opposed to
Yeah.
like the long tights that was his lucky charm here, because he didn't wear those on Monday, and of course lost to Bron Breakker. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a good show overall. There was a lot of wrestling last weekend, you guys.
A whole bunch. Yeah, we
So
even
much, so much.
I made
Yeah.
time to watch the For the Culture
Yeah.
show
How was that?
that GCW put on. It was really great. I mean, to see so many excellent black wrestlers in one area was great. The Hitmakers, formerly known as Hit Row,
Yeah.
had a really like just a hard-hitting match against Shane Taylor Promotions.
Mhm.
Trisha Dora, she went up against MJ Jenkins, who was like back for like the first time in a minute. And it was just,
Yeah.
I just loved it. I love watching all of it. But
Right?
yes.
Ugh.
So
Random thought on MJ Jenkins, by the way. I loved her Mae Young Classic theme song. And she was only in like one match, but
mhm.
it's a good theme song. I don't know if she still
She
uses that on
sang
the
it.
indies. Oh,
I don't
damn.
think that's the same one. I can't remember, but she sang herself to the ring. It was
I'm just
pretty
glad
cool.
she's still around though, because I remember she was in
Mhm.
developmental for a while and then released. So
Yeah, and
I
she
have to
took some
check
time
out that.
away.
That what's the name of that show again, Mari?
That was For the Culture, the one I
For
sent
the
you the
Culture.
link for.
Yeah,
For
I'll have to check it out.
yeah. But so yeah, so Dolph wins at Stand and Deliver, but then Braun wins on Raw on Monday, which was an odd choice to me. I don't know. I don't know. That felt weird. It felt like, oh, the title change would be bigger on Raw. You're saying title change is bigger on Raw than on a premium live event, which is really
Well,
weird
the
to me.
Raw, but it's not just Raw. It's Raw after WrestleMania. Raw after Mania. Come on,
Mm,
Mari. It's a big
okay,
deal. It's a big deal.
No, I
sure.
get
I
it.
mean,
I get the
I
chatter.
get it. I get what you're saying, but I get how someone who's like putting it together and writing it could be like, oh, this is a big moment. It was strange, like, because you like it's good for the title to cool off a little bit before someone loses it, or at least for people to like recognize that, like, that oh, he lost the match. And it's kind of the thing with, it reminds me a little bit of this situation with Naomi and Sasha and Liv and Rhea, where it's like, wait, why are you getting a shot again so quickly? Like, what happened? I missed something.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way I see it is, I think it was a great opportunity to showcase Braun. Like, you're coming off the Hall of Fame weekend where
Right.
they finally publicly acknowledge, right, that he's a Steiner, he's Rick Steiner's kid, Scott Steiner's nephew. So you're riding that momentum.
Yeah.
And then you put Braun on Raw, you put the NXT Championship title change on Raw. I get what I get what they were trying to go for here. So, but I also get the other side where it's like, wait a minute, you just lost at Stand and Deliver. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We're
See,
splitting hairs here.
Exactly. I just was, it just was, I was like, oh, it's just, I wasn't really mad at the rematch because they do that all the time, but I guess it was the title change. I was like, oh, they actually changed the title too.
I think it's about the platform. Like, I think there's still something to be said about how Raw after Mania, or Raw in general, is still a bigger stage than anything NXT can do, because
I mean,
when you look at it, NXT is still considered developmental.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add to is just the fact that, like, how many times have we seen the NXT Championship defended on Raw?
Yeah, not a lot.
I mean, I can't even think of the last time. I don't know if it even. I'm assuming it's been defended, or else I feel like
Adam Cole did that.
Yeah,
against,
so it's
Seth
like
Rollins.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's like one of those big moments, and it's not a, it adds something to it. It just kind of felt out like it was out of left field.
Well, either way, on NXT, then it looked like he's gonna face Gunther for it. But then Gunther showed up on SmackDown with the newly christened Ludwig Kaiser
Ludwig
or something?
Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser
Ludwig
instead
Kaiser.
of Marcel Bartel, right?
Yeah, which apparently is, I guess, his real name, because like I don't know, I'm as in the
Yeah.
dark
Wait,
as everybody,
Ludwig
right?
Allegedly.
Kaiser?
No, Marcel
Or
Bartel
Marcel
is
Bartel.
apparently
Okay, yeah.
his real
Right?
name. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I had thought this whole time.
That's what
But
Wikipedia tells us.
but then they dropped Fabian Eichner. Or they didn't come up with Fabian Eichner. So it's so weird. Like NXT is very in flux right now. It feels like.
Well, I mean, yeah, but also it's like it's exactly the time where traditionally these call-ups happen. So it's not like that surprising that it's happening, but it's kind of
it's not
weird and messy.
surprising. But it's weird when they're supposed to still be challenging for the title.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Eichner was shown kind of straying away from Imperium on NXT this week. So there was that.
Right.
And I think I could put the pieces together. It also threw me off guard, or I was caught off guard when Imperium had new music. Like, I think we got the new music at Stand and Deliver, and it just carried over to SmackDown this week. So that also caught me.
Just a lot. Yeah, a lot going on. Because then you also had what's your face? Toxic Attraction went back up against Dakota and Raquel Gonzalez on Tuesday. They lost the titles back.
Raquel Gonzalez. She was still Gonzalez on Tuesday.
That's what I'm saying. On Tuesday, she was Raquel
and somehow her paperwork to change her name went through in like 3 days, which I thought it took a lot longer than that.
So yeah, so they only had the belts for 3 days or whatever. Like, I don't understand why you put the belts on Dakota and Raquel, just take them back off, whatever. Okay, we'll let it fly. So Toxic Attraction has their belts back. And then on SmackDown, Raquel Rodriguez debuts on SmackDown. We did get a Dakota just throwing around stuff backstage after they lost on NXT. So I guess it means that she's back to like breaking. Maybe she'll break. This will finally break her or whatever. Like we've been thinking that's what's been happening. But yeah, so Raquel is now like what I like completely changed my stance on the whole. Why are you WWE? Like, you've had these people. They've been in your company for 3 to 4 years, and now you're giving them name changes. This does not make sense anymore. I can't even pretend like it does at this point.
Yeah, but here's to play devil's advocate for a second, Mari, in defense of the E. So there are different people who are responsible for different parts of this company. And I've talked about how annoying it is when they rebrand and change these characters. Like, they could have done this. She could have been Raquel Rodriguez from the beginning. I love the alliteration. I think that that's a great name. I get that her last name is Gonzalez. I do think that there's something odd about just like switching out her name for like another, but that's another conversation too. It's like, okay, no, we're just you could be Rodriguez now. Like, what? Okay. But you know,
it seems very basic to me.
I'm glad she has her first name, and that's how I feel. Also, isn't she a second generation wrestler?
Yeah, she is.
Related to Rudy Boy Gonzalez, who was like, or maybe another Gonzalez.
I don't remember her father's name, but yeah, she is a second generation wrestler. I think something happened between Stand and Deliver, which is when Toxic Attraction lost the titles, and the day after NXT 2.0 this week. Something must have happened that, you know, they realized, oh, okay, Raquel can't be on NXT for much longer, which probably explains the really quick title switch.
By the way,
that's got to be it.
Like, for forever. Like, I thought she was coming up a minute ago.
Right. And people have been calling their shot, right? People have been saying, okay, Raquel's getting called up to the main roster, which is why it also surprised me when she and Dakota won the championships.
Right.
Yeah. So this was all pretty surprising. I'm with you on the name change in the sense that, okay, this is pretty random and from out of nowhere. Raquel Rodriguez is happening. All right.
Maybe
it's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some more info later on what could have happened, but it just felt like a lot of like I don't know, man. It felt really weird.
Yeah,
Like they didn't know where they were going, and so they just kind of like switch stuff out, switch things
but
out.
yeah, but even like the well, yeah, it's like it's weird in a few ways. Like one, is it best? I mean, I guess everything's like let's wait and see, but is it best that she debuted here? And is it best that she debuted in the way that she did? I think it's kind of sad actually. Anytime someone kind of pops up and it's like they're debuting, and not like, okay, it's motivated. Like, ooh, there's a secret stalker who attacks and happens to be Raquel, or like whatever it is. And so we'll see. I mean, I like Raquel a lot, and we'll see what kind of happens with her. But other people, like where I hate to bring it up, but like where's Xia Li? Where are some of these other
Mm.
people? Where's Shotzi? Like
The
I
SmackDown
don't know.
Women's division is like invisible. They
It
did.
doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be.
We didn't talk about this, but Lacey Evans did get her first promo of a rebrand on
Yeah.
SmackDown. Okay.
What was okay?
She
It
was
threw me
talking
off.
about it was weird.
Yeah,
It was Lacey Evans basically talking
it's
about her
face.
whole background. She's trying to turn face when she comes back. I'm like, if you have to work this hard to get somebody face after they've been gone for a year and a half, maybe let's not do it. But anyways, so she's talking about her whole background, her stint in the military. I think she talked about like it was really weird to me because she's just standing there straight face, shooting like camouflage, just delivering her story of her background. It felt like
Ooh.
are we your therapist? Like it felt very
God,
I was
Mari.
very uncomfortable of her unloading her like her
But
childhood trauma onto
it
me.
reminds me, and I don't know if this is occurring to Stan in this moment, but it reminds me of Proving Ground. She was on the Proving Ground show. Like, was that the name of the
Breaking
show?
ground?
Breaking ground.
Breaking Ground. See, all the
She was on
grounds.
that? Are you sure?
She was
No, she
on
wasn't.
it.
She wasn't.
I was about to say
Wait, she was
not
on
that.
something.
She wasn't on that.
She was on
That was
something
one of my
under
favorite
her name, like
documentaries.
under her shoot name is like Macy, and I remember her being there. If I'm gonna like see if I could figure it out and find it. And I think that she was on. I think that she was there because
Okay.
in the promo they had like promo class. I remember this vividly. They had promo class, and then she came up, and this was maybe in like tryouts or whatever. So maybe this wasn't, I don't know, or who cares what it is. But anyway, she's there and she's talking about her story and she was getting emotional and she was like big time babyface. So I do think she has like a legit story that is sympathetic. I also just think she's a better
She was
heel.
originally a babyface. She was originally a
Yeah.
babyface when she was in the Mae Young Classic, and I was a fan of hers back in the day, but her characterizations and like just her like feeling that she was being pushed when she's still green, like just over the years kind of just soured me to her. So I mean, I don't know. I don't it'll be another thing, guys, where I don't care. But I'll be interested to see if she will be received as a babyface and to see what this babyface character will look like. Because to me, unloading your trauma does not help me connect to you.
Yeah. It's like,
That's
but
an
it's
interesting
also
take.
about,
I haven't heard that before. Like the
no,
whole Lacey unloading her trauma in the promo. Because like
But maybe in the
uh
way she did it, it
it's
was just
right.
weird. It was just a list. Though this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to
right.
me.
It
You
wasn't
know?
processed.
But it
Yeah, like
wasn't like,
Cody and how
it
his
wasn't like a
background
story.
weaved the
It wasn't
tale.
like the
Yes,
flow of the
yes.
story.
There was no yes. Thank
So
you,
See,
Matt.
that's interesting to me because like this is the most fleshed out I've seen Lacey Evans. Like
yeah.
when she first appeared on the main roster, like, okay, she's the sassy Southern Belle, whatever. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, she's a mom now. Oh, okay, she's a former Marine and all that stuff, right? But like,
Yeah.
I think coming out of when she got pregnant and had to be yanked off TV, and
Mhm.
you know, she was doing that thing with that
Rick.
storyline with Ric Flair, right? Like, it's such a 180, and I think it's a step in the right direction compared to her previous storyline. That being said, I actually appreciate the effort being put here because it's way better than Lacey Evans just showing up out of nowhere again on the SmackDown after Mania.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
And
see what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't have any problem with it. I feel like Mari, I feel like I could imagine a world where you love Lacey Evans.
I
But
was a fan.
I could imagine a world in the future where you become a fan again.
I don't know. We'll see. Like, I mean, I grew up I grew up in a military family. I understand the
Yeah.
struggles of the military life and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that anything that she said didn't fall, on me and land on
Yeah.
me. It was just the way that it was presented. I think you put it perfectly, Matt. It just did not feel like a story. It felt like it was just like if she could have had a scroll in front of her face and just been the delivery wasn't right to me as well. Like it just felt off. Like
I think it's
it
also a
felt off.
timing thing too, because it's like, there's one thing, it's one, I get what you mean when you're talking about this, because it's like, to be thrown right into something that's that emotionally deep is a lot. Like, even if
Feels
we
that to
think of
me.
like
Yeah.
Cody's promo and and there's a lot of background there and backstory, and obviously he's a Rhodes, so you kind of have that in the background at all times, but like, it's him showing the image and then kind of going into kind of talking about his dad and his legacy a little bit. You're easing in with this type of promo. Like, maybe, if I'm hearing what you're saying, it's like, let's bring Lacey back. Let's have an inspired return of some sort, and then let's have her, like, maybe she's going for the championship or in a situation where she's up against Charlotte and she's like, Charlotte, you don't know who I am. And she goes into this. Then it's like, damn, that is like the moment to do it. But it felt a little weird. I have to watch it back though. Maybe this was better than we realized. But yeah.
No, you know what? I think I see the disconnect for you, Mari, because you're what I'm hearing from you is that you thought it was like an impromptu therapy session. And I think the problem could be coming from the medium, the limitation. No, the limitation of the vignette as a medium. Because when you're running on a vignette, you've got what, 2-3 minutes for like this little video package, right?
Exactly.
As opposed to what Cody Rhodes did, where he basically had carte blanche for like 10-15 minutes on live television. So I think how we could improve this is you take the same story from Lacey Evans, but you have her come out there in the middle of the ring and actually interact with people. And then you have like live reaction shots from people who may be connecting with the promo on some visceral level. Maybe that makes it more emotional.
That I agree. Or even if they're going to do this style, whether they're given 2 minutes, they want to give us her story. They had her standing there, like very weirdly awkwardly. And then they had her talking about her life. I think that if I remember correctly, they flashed some pictures.
Yeah, they did.
But then they had her standing there. I would have even preferred, like, she used to do some of her Twitter promos on her farm. Like, I would have been fine with like a Steve Austin-esque, like driving in her pickup truck style, telling us what she's been through style promo, like voiceover as she's doing her day's work. Like, it just felt weird, the enormous impact of what she's unloading with her just standing there, with also just them trying to kind of like get all of this information out to you and have you process it in the slim 2-minute margin in the middle of a show where, like, I can't even remember what preceded her and what came after, but it just was weird. It was just weird timing.
I think the only other thing I would add, because we've talked about this way too much, is like,
welcome to the shoot. This is
I know. Welcome to the shoot. But no. I think like the other piece too is that, like, I don't know. Like, I would have loved the crowd reaction there. Like, I would love to see Lacey cutting that kind of promo in front of a crowd. I get though how it could be difficult going from heel to face, where she probably comes out, people start booing her. I would actually, that would have been kind of awesome. I don't know if it's about trusting her as much as like
it's been over a year.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask anyone to turn a crowd. Like, even Bianca's a great example of that from this past Monday. Like, the crowd will do whatever they do.
That's right. Yeah.
So I kind of feel bad for her, because I think that, like, if this was Cody Rhodes and not Lacey Evans, I have a feling that, Cody would be like, yeah, we're not doing it like that. We're going to do it a different way that works. And I feel bad because she did it. She did what she had to do. And hopefully there are good things for her coming out of this. But
I mean, it's chapter 1. So there's probably,
right.
There are succeeding chapters.
Yeah,
down the
maybe
road.
we're gonna get to the farm.
Maybe I just like how we're deconstructing the promo and figuring out, okay, what worked here? How could it improve? How can we tweak it here and there? This is the type of stuff I love doing. Back when the wrestling scene here in the Philippines was alive, like sitting down with talent and writing shit down on a sequence guide for them. I miss that stuff.
Yeah.
What
So we'll see. This is the launching point. I think that I think it was less effective as a vignette, but I think it was smart because they tried to protect her. If you're trying to launch a new character and you want to launch them as a baby face, especially a sparkling one, which I think they're going for, having the mixed crowd reactions, not trusting the mixed crowd reactions on SmackDown, I don't blame them for that approach. So I truly don't blame them.
Yeah, were they
exactly.
still in Texas at the same?
No, I don't know.
No, because they were there.
No, it's in Milwaukee.
Okay,
Milwaukee.
Now, so who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I get that. So yeah, that was a shoot because we do whatever we want. All right, guys, it's time to go. I love talking to you both as always. Stan, can you please tell us where the people can find you and what you're up to?
Yeah. Well, if you are outside of the US, please go check out the WWE Premium Live events with the Tagalog audio. So it's only on the network. It's not on Peacock because reasons, I guess. But yeah, I really appreciate all the feedback. Everybody sending congratulatory messages after WrestleMania. Thank you so much for that. I just also made my Netflix debut this past week. I was part of the Tagalog cast of this Thai horror film, so I get to play this sleazeball bully of a teenager. Yeah, so flexing some voice acting chops there. Pretty weird seeing my name on Netflix, but yeah, that happened this week as well. And if you want to check out all the other work I do from On Deck with Stancy, which is my solo podcast, or the Wrestling Podcast, which just turned 8 this year, this past week, go check out my Linktree. It's linktr.ee/Stancy says, that's spelled STANSYSAYS, or go follow me at _Stancy, STANSY on Twitter or Instagram, and let's talk wrestling, because that's how I basically befriended the Wrestling RHAPup. That's how this all happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, go follow Stan. Matt, where can the people find you?
The people can find me at Matt Scott GW and just follow along for the things Mari referenced, or actually Stan and Mari referenced Survivor Academy, which was it's a podcast kind of breaking down how to play the game of Survivor. If you ever go on the show, I had so much fun talking with the one and only Rob Sesternino about just about that game and how to play it. And so that is actually a patron exclusive if you are a Rob Has a Podcast patron. So check it out. And find me on the Wrestling RHAPup. And otherwise, you know what? Just like stay up to date, follow along. You never know. You never know, people. I feel like there may be other plugs. But you know what? We're taking our little break, so it's nice that's nice to not have a ton of other plugs. And you know what? I will keep folks up to date on Pod Friends Season 2 because I'm sure once we're back for the Wrestling RHAPup, I could announce some dates around that. But it's coming. My conversations with more people are happening. So just like Veer is coming and came, I'm coming too.
That's one way to put it.
That's one way to put it.
Mari,
yes,
we have to get out of here.
Yeah, we can.
They're telling us to go home, brother.
Yeah, get out. Yeah. Oof. You can find me on Twitter at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2. You can also find me on the Atlanta Recap podcast. Every week, me, Latanya Starks, and Chappelle break down the Afro surrealism that is Atlanta Season 3. Yes. And this episode this week was a doozy, so I can't wait to talk to them about that and drop that. Of course, me and Sarah Carradine are bringing you True Crime Tuesdays with our new podcast, Crime Scene. That's Crime SEEN. Every week, me and Sarah go watch a true crime property, like a documentary, a docuseries, a docudrama, or just like a little one-off shows, and then we talk about how they're produced, talk about how the crime is presented. It's basically a true crime RHAPup. So subscribe to us on Crime Scene, go to RHAPup.com/crime feed in order to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we also have to give a big shout out to Jessica and David Bloomberg over on Why Blank Lost. Every week they go over the strategy and humor of who each person who gets voted off Survivor. So we're in the thick of Survivor 42. David brings over 20 years of knowledge from covering Survivor, while Jessica brings her experience from millennials versus Gen X, including everything from voting on the right side and voting on the wrong side to having an idol played on her and the infamous rock draw. Each week, Why Blank Lost goes beyond what we see on TV to gather all information and find out what players did right and wrong. Listen on the reality TV RHAPup's feed or RHAP Survivor feed, or you can watch on RHAP's YouTube channel and get all the info. Go to robhasawebsite.com/YXLostFeed.
Damn. Mari, that was a lot of things. First of all, David Bloomberg has rules. Wrestling has rules. So we have that in common. So check that out. Mari, you mentioned Crime Scene. Stan, I want to ask you, what's your favorite crime? Wait, don't mention that. We're not going to have you say that on the podcast.
I was about to say I'd like to, what was that line? Against self-incrimination. That one.
We like to say plead the fifth. Yes.
There, that's the American thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's
no, that's a Filipino thing. The whole against self-incrimination.
So there we go. And yes, Mari, all of the plugs. Mari talks too much. And you know what, Mari? I just have to say because we're at this point now. You know, your Mari talks too much too, like the number 2, but you also are Mari 2 podcasts, at least 2 podcasts. Actually, you have more than 2 podcasts, but let's like
Mari 3 podcasts
for the gimmick. Yeah, but like the RHAPups, it's like Mari 2 RHAPups, Matt 2 RHAPups, Stan
there we go.
2 belts. It all works out.
It all works out.
So, have you caught your breath yet?
I'm good. I have caught my breath. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the 2 of you. I don't know if you remember, but I was on the season premiere and I'm on the season finale. So we bookended season 2 of the Wrestling RHAPup. So thank you. I just have so much love for you 2 and all the work that you do and everything that you put into our community. So thank you, Matt and Mari.
Wow. Thank you, Stan. You're making me blush. Oh my gosh.
I think the flowers are coming in. Oh my gosh. Thank you for giving us our flowers. We give you flowers. We respect you. Happy to be here. And I don't even know how these shows ends. I could honestly, if you weren't here, I could never end the podcast. Yes. What?
Remember, wrestling is for everyone, but not all wrestling is for everybody. Bye, everybody.
See you in 4 weeks or 3 weeks. Who knows?
Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling liver RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party. Mula Ric Flair, showing out like Bianca Belair, Best podcast, flush it in the air, From the rings and we win it, don't care, No cap. Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling liver RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party.